Alrighty, guys, welcome back. This is part two. I don't remember what episode number it is, but just know it's the second half of the episode where if you were listening to us end it, it would have been cut off abruptly with me telling Matt to shut the fuck up for a second. So we're going to get back into the rest of the NHL discussion that we were covering, and then we're going to leapfrog. We're actually not going to be covering the World Cup group stage in this episode. We're going to dedicate a new episode to that. Instead, we're going to get out some our part two predictions for the NFL. It's going to be the NFC predictions. We'll be ranking how those divisions are going to shape up, which teams are going to finish where, and then we'll just end the episode off there. So, Matt, without further ado, if you want to continue the discussion from last episode, hit it off.
Yeah. So really quickly, just to wrap up the RFAs, the Sabres only have 4, so we already covered Olofsson. There's Jacob Bryson, who is definitely going to be a guy that's back. He was in the bottom pairing last year, and that's where I have him slotted in to start the season next year. I'd be much happier if he was the 7th defenseman, like the extra guy that rotates in. But we'll see what happens. He's not going to make a lot of money either. And then R2 Ruotsalainen, the player that came over from Europe, I was very impressed with him in the AHL playoffs. He was their go-to guy. A lot of overtime game winners for the Americans in the Calder Cup playoffs. So he might get a shot at the NHL next year. It's going to be tough because the bottom 6 is kind of already filled up with guys, but he'll definitely be at training camp for sure. And then everybody's favorite name in the Sabres organization, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, is up for a new contract. And my whole thing that goes into the goaltending for next year is right now the Sabres are rolling into the season with Craig Anderson and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen as their goaltenders. I'm not sold on that. I do think they need somebody else. I'd be fine if they carry 3 goaltenders at the NHL level. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, I'm a big fan of, but he is coming off of another injury. He had a groin injury in the Calder Cup playoffs. He had hip surgery a year ago. It's been tough for him. He's had very good numbers at the NHL level that he's played at. He's only 23. And now is kind of the time where I'm getting to the point, like goalies take a while to develop. Me and Zach have discussed this hundreds of times before. Goalies just take longer. People don't understand that. And they're like, wow, he's playing. Why isn't he playing? Because they have to acclimate themselves to different levels of hockey. It's not a winger who scores goals that it just comes naturally to them that they can do it at any level. Like, it's different for goalies. So Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen being 23, he's now played, I believe it is 2.5 seasons in North America. He played Europe when he was drafted. He played in the OHL. He won a Player of the Year in OHL, or Goalie of the Year, I should say. Then he came over to Rochester. He's been decent with Rochester. His numbers aren't jumping off the page, but what I have to always remind everybody about the AHL and goalies is that their numbers are going to be a little bit lower. There's not very good defense in the AHL. So give him a break on that. But my argument really quickly, just to wrap that up, he's 23. It's time for the Sabres to decide, is this going to be a guy that is going to be a net at the NHL level, whether it be a backup or full-time? It's not going to be full-time this year either way. But just to keep going, is he going to be a guy that's going to be an NHL crease every season? This is your time to decide. You either have to decide or get rid of him at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the goaltending, no matter what happens for the Sabres. And then really quickly, we were going to run through the projected lineup that I have next year for the Sabres. Obviously, this is very fluid. Do not come at me for my predictions, please. I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to keep Don Granato's lines pretty similar to what they are. But we are expecting 2 guys to come up from Rochester. Some guys are going to shift in and out of the lineup. Players, I have not counted anybody who I think that they're signing or trading for in the lineup yet. This is strictly off of what they have right now. So First line, I think, stays exactly the same. They had great success last year, a lot of chemistry. Skinner, Thompson, and Tuck. Two guys with 30-plus goals. Alex Tuck, who only started playing at the end of December because of the shoulder injury that he had prior to the Eichel trade. He finished the season strong as well. I think he had almost 15 goals and I want to say close to 40 points. So very good, great chemistry. Keep that line together. Second line's where things change. Victor Olofsson, I have penciled in because I don't think the Sabres are going to let him go. I think they are going to re-sign him. I can't say at what. We just discussed that in the last episode. But I do think Victor Olofsson is back for the Sabres. So I can't put him in the bottom six, unfortunately. I would love to have him on the third line, but I can't see Don Granato playing him less than 12 minutes a night. Second line center, Dylan Cousins. I'm expecting Dylan Cousins actually this year, and you can pencil this in. Zach, you can hold me accountable for it. I think Cousins is going to have a very big jump year. I think he's going to be a lot better than he was last year. I think his numbers are going to be a lot better than they were last year. I'm expecting some real growth out of Dylan Cousins. I'm very high on Dylan Cousins. Zach can attest to that. I loved that draft pick when the Sabres made it, and that was a Jason Botterill pick. I think Cousins is a great, great player to have and a very good, gritty, hardworking second-line center. And then sliding in on Cousins' right side, I can't say he will start there. This is where things get hairy with guys moving in again. Again, do not come at me. I have Jack Quinn penciled in at right winger too. Whether he's there, whether he's on the third line, I do see him being in Buffalo next year no matter what. Third line, John Jason Peterka on the left wing. I thought Peterka played well. He also did get a couple games at the NHL level. The biggest thing with Peterka I saw last year and in the sample size that we saw, he I wouldn't say he was nervous, but he didn't know. I don't think he expected the level of skating that there was at the NHL level. I think if he adjusts that, you're going to see a very good third line grinder type of player. I don't think he's got, and this is where I'm going to say for his career too. Like, people are going to look at his numbers from Rochester this year, and they're going to go, oh, he was almost a point per game. He should be doing that at the NHL level. Just because you're a point per game, whether it be at European level, American level, ECHL level, college level, whatever it is, that doesn't automatically mean you're a point per game player in the NHL. We have to throw that out there for everybody. But I do think Peterka is a guy that once he kind of hits his prime at the NHL level, you're looking at a guy that's somewhere between 10 to 20 goals a season, 15 to 25 assists. But a very, like I said, he is a puck hound. And that is my favorite part about JJ Peterka is if he loses the puck, he's coming right back at you with some aggressiveness. He's going to finish his checks. He's going to go to the dirty areas. He's going to get in front of the net, screen the goaltender, do whatever he's got to do. That's why I love JJ Peterka. Centering that line, I have Peyton Krebs. I really, really, really love Peyton Krebs, and I wish I could put him in the top six. But with Jack Quinn coming up and Victor Olofsson being back, I can't see him playing over those guys. I definitely see him on the second or first power play unit. But, again, it's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of talent now on the Sabres roster, something that we're not used to having to put guys on lines that they really probably could be playing above. And then the UFA that they are supposedly bringing back in Vinny Hinostroza. I think he's back next year. He's a really good player. I love Vinny Hinostroza. I love the fact that Kevin Adams brought him in last year. He's on the smaller side, but listen, in his career, Vinny Hinostroza has been a very fast, pass-first type of guy that can also score goals. And that's why I love Hinostroza. And then on the bottom line, going to be the same fourth line from last year, Zemgus Girgensons, Rasmus Asplund centering it. Rasmus Asplund, by the way, very good two-way centerman, was very high in his Selke voting this year. I think if he picks his numbers up a little bit more, I think he could be in the conversation for like a top 5 Selke candidate. And then Kyle Okposo back, who rumor has it, 1 year left on his deal. Kyle Okposo may be named the Buffalo Sabres captain for this season. And then on defense, Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. No argument there. I think Zach would agree that's going to be the first pairing going into next year. I don't have anybody penciled in at left D number 2. That's where I think they do need to go out and get somebody, whether it be via free agency or trade. They got to get somebody on the left side. Their left side is definitely much, much, much weaker than the right side. Mark Pysyk probably won't be back. Robert Hagg, they traded away, so they are missing a couple guys on the left. Matthias Samuelsson I have at right D2. No argument there. And then on the bottom pairing, I have Jacob Bryson and Henry Jokiharju right now. And we already discussed in goal Anderson and UPL. The extras that did not fit into the lineup, Anders Bjork, who came over in the Taylor Hall trade, he has been much more disappointing than I thought he was going to be. But he is still under contract, and he's a guy that, he's friends with everybody in the room, so it doesn't hurt having him around. And then the extra that I do believe I want to trade this offseason, Casey Middlestat. I don't know how Zach feels about that, but I think Middlestat, like my dream scenario would be pick 28 and Casey Middlestat packaged for something, and you would get a good return on that. So that's kind of what we have for the Sabres and the NHL Draft. That is, again, tomorrow night, which is June 7th, starting at 7 o'clock in Montreal. Sabres 3 first-round picks. It's going to be a good night. So hopefully you guys are tuning into that and watching. The Sabres have a very, very bright future, which is exciting.
Alrighty, so concluding that, then we're going to hop over and do some NFL talk. If you watched I think it was our most recent episode, or actually now it'd be two behind this one. We covered the AFC North, South, East, and West divisions, placing each team first to last where we think they're going to finish. Matt, I'm actually going to ask you to share your screen. I'm going to have you do this part this time, since I'm always the one who's taking
I'm not on my laptop right now.
Oh my God, are you on my?
I'm not. I'm on my phone. Yes, my laptop is currently dead. So.
All right. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'll pull that up, I guess, then.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into we'll start off with some trades, trade rumors, trades that have already happened, including the highly, I wouldn't say anticipated, but expected move that was coming this offseason in the Baker Mayfield trade to the Panthers for a future 5th-round pick. Let me share my screen here. So Matt, if you want to kick it off then while I'm getting this started up. Actually, you know what? I want to kick it off because obviously when I saw the notification go through, I told a couple of my coworkers, I was like, hey, do you follow football? Did you see this? And then I looked at the trade details and I was reading all the comments on I first read it on Bleacher Report. That's where the first notification came up. So many of the comments were saying that the Panthers got fleeced somehow. I believe the Browns got fleeced. They only got a 5th-round pick in return for Baker Mayfield. And on top of that, I still believe that Baker's way better than anybody ever gives him credit for, let alone the amount of shit he gets.
Yes. I could not have put that into better words. This is just like, to me, I agree. I think the Browns got fleeced on this deal. I think that this is just poetic justice to go for the Cleveland Browns' terrible offseason and horrible decisions that they have made. You finally got a 1st-round pick right in Baker Mayfield. And listen, I've said it multiple times on here. Zach has heard me talk about it before. I'm not the biggest Baker fan. And why is that? Because I'm not the biggest fan of Baker's like personality. I think he comes off just a little bit cocky. I'm not a fan of, the things from his college days and things like that. But all that aside, the talent's there. Other than, maybe a little bit of cockiness in the personality, there's no off-field issues with Baker Mayfield. He's a great player. He works in the community, and he did nothing wrong to the Cleveland Browns for them to say, we're done with you. Like, there was no reason for this whatsoever. And for that, the Browns bringing in Deshaun Watson, which is disgusting and terrible in itself, and an idiotic move to fully guarantee Deshaun Watson's contract. And now you've traded Baker Mayfield, who, even though he would not have played for you anyways, no matter what, when Deshaun Watson, and yes, I understand it hasn't happened and it technically is still an if, but I'm going with when Deshaun Watson cannot play in the NFL this year, they're stuck with Jacoby Brissett. So to me, this is poetic justice. And I think the Browns absolutely 110% got fleeced. Carolina just got a whole lot better.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that makes Baker, in my opinion, better than people give him credit for, he does have a strong arm, but it's not the most accurate. Okay. There's a lot he could work on for his throwing game. It's like, I think of it as a situation similar to Josh Allen. I mean, right. he was an early first round pick. Obviously, we took Allen, and he was kind of a lesser known of the few QBs that went. But Baker obviously didn't have success immediately, but he made the Browns better immediately, and he like discussed, he clawed them back. I saw this in so many comments. He clawed that franchise from out the dumpster by himself.
Yeah.
In 2 years, he rescued them and finally gave Cleveland, the season that they've been looking for in 10 years. And now they get rid of him. And like you said, he was super active in the community. He didn't really do anything bad that would get him in trouble off the field or on the field. And he was just a really competitive guy. So for him to go to a place like Carolina, where they've now been missing a QB for a few years, like you said, it's going to make him a whole lot better. They've had wide receiving talent for the last 3-4 years and have had no QB to throw to them, so they haven't been able to utilize that talent fully. Baker, in my opinion, is better than any of the QBs Carolina has seen in the last 4 years, and that's even right before Cam Newton came back with that shoulder injury where he just wasn't really right. So I'm not a Panthers fan by any means. I know Buffalo has a great relationship with them. But like that shouldn't really influence my relationship. But all I am saying is, for a team that I'm completely unbiased about, I look forward to watching the Panthers this season, because I think they're going to be much better with Baker, especially with the receiving core they have with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore as their 1-2.
Exactly. I mean, there's holes in Carolina's lineup, obviously, but really when you look at it, defense is very good. Their offense is almost there. They're missing, maybe they could use a little bit of a better tight end. We'll see what happens with Tommy Tremble. You got DJ Moore, like you mentioned. You got Robbie Anderson. And I think people forget, if he stays healthy, they have Christian McCaffrey. Now got Baker Mayfield, who can throw to one of three: DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Christian McCaffrey. And by the way, they're one move away from another good receiver added to the lineup. They could go after somebody like Cole Beasley. Then you're talking about a team that's really good. The thing that I don't understand about people saying Carolina got fleeced, or they look at the trade and they go, that's it? Like, Baker Mayfield, as you mentioned, rescued the Browns. 2 years ago, they were one play away from beating the City Chiefs to make it to the AFC Championship game. But Baker's not good. Okay. Whatever you say.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm rooting for Carolina this year. And the best part is week 1 is Browns and Panthers. And I hope Baker Mayfield just absolutely crushes the Cleveland Browns. Like, I hope he has a 400-yard day,
Yeah.
4 touchdowns, no picks, rushes for a touchdown. Like, and, like I said, with Baker being a little bit cocky, and I know he's hurting on the inside from this. Like, he was hurt by all of this. That's why he said, I'm not coming this year no matter what happens. I'm not showing up for you guys.
Yeah.
I hope he just, like, in a respectful way, he sticks it to the Browns.
Yeah. I completely agree. All right. So now to move on from that topic, I mean, nothing else is notable really has happened in the offseason. I mean, there's some big names that have moved around, but that's just because they were free agents, not because there's a blockbuster trade or anything like that.
Yeah.
Most of the trades that have happened this offseason otherwise have been pretty expected. If not expected, then it was just kind of, it wasn't like, oh my God, did you see this the trade details on this one or something like that? It was kind of like, it was stuff you could have seen coming if you had followed the NFL like 2-3 years ago.
Right.
So anyways, to transition then, we're going to finish off our NFL divisional rankings. I believe last time we covered the AFC.
Yep.
We did all 4 divisions. So this episode, we're going to finish it off with the NFC. My computer sounds like it's about to have a stroke, so I'm going to be doing this tier list on my iPad, which is right next to me, but we're still going to upload the final rankings on the Instagram after this episode. So first, we're going to start off with the NFC North. I mean, for me, I think the biggest talking point in this division is the fact that Davante Adams will no longer be playing there. I did not know this a little after the trade, but I found this out in the last couple of weeks. Apparently, the Packers did offer Adams more money than the Raiders did. However, Davante Adams still did not want to stay there. And I believe his main reason, I think, was like there were no bad feelings towards anybody in the organization, but he did not want to stay there. And like, I don't know, I don't remember the exact words, so I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it had something to do with he didn't want to stay there, and it had something to do with Aaron Rodgers. So I think it was like something to do with his contract as well. Like if Davante did choose to leave, he didn't want Rodgers to be like tied up in some massive 6-year contract where he's got nobody and shit like that. So like I guess they had like kind of talked it out themselves before they had both made their decisions to whether they were staying or leaving.
Okay.
But I mean, regardless of that, I still see the Packers finishing first in this division. I don't know. I still feel like the next closest team, which is the Vikings, they always have the worst first half of the season, and then they have too little too late where they win a decent amount of games towards the end, and then they finish like 500. I just don't see them having the strength to overtake the Packers. The only way I'd see that happening is if they had someone better than Kirk Cousins at QB, because they have Thielen, they have Jefferson. They're not hurting on the offensive department, especially with Dalvin Cook, to take the pressure off the throwing game too. And I mean, their defense, it could be better, but Harrison Smith is still decent at safety, and Cameron Dantzler looked better at corner this year. But I just don't see them having enough to.
And it's likely that Anthony Barr returns too.
Right. So I mean, they're not completely trash on defense. I just don't see them having the strong enough weapons to overtake the Packers for that top spot. So for my rankings, it honestly goes Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears.
I agree. I think if you would have asked me a couple weeks ago, I think I would have put the Lions at last place. But I do think that even though Jared Goff is a terrible quarterback, I do think that they have enough weapons and they are building up a bit of a better team than they have in past rebuilds. I do think they are going to overtake the Bears. Just like, and it's people are probably going to think it's hate towards like Justin Fields. And it's just not. Like, Justin Fields just has nothing to work with. I think Justin Fields is overrated. Don't get me wrong. But he has nothing in Chicago. I mean, there is just nothing to work with there.
Yeah, especially now that Allen Robinson's gone.
Right.
Their only weapon, unless I'm probably forgetting names. I'm gonna forget a lot of names throughout this division rankings. But the only receiver he has to throw to is Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's over 6 feet. So it's not like he's just a DK Metcalf, freak of nature where you can literally just lob a ball to him one-on-one downfield and he's going to catch it or it's going to be a pick. Like it's not a 50-50. And then in the backfield, personally, I'm a really big fan of David Montgomery, but he cannot carry a running game for 17 games now. Sorry. So I mean, and then Tariq Cohen, we saw him get injured in the offseason training. So, I mean, like you can say it's Justin Fields, hey, all you want, but they really do have nobody on offense.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
And I don't know if you've been seeing highlight videos of Jameson Williams, who was the first round pick for the Lions. He's a wide receiver, I believe, out of Alabama. I saw some highlights of him yesterday and today, and he is looking really scary because I know he has speed already, and his route running was looking pretty crisp. So if they can get him going early, then I mean, Jared Goff might not be a good QB, but he can still make throws to a guy who clearly can do things on the field. So
yeah,
that's another reason I'm kind of pushing them towards the third place spot.
Right.
So up next we've got the NFC South. So this is comprised of the Saints, Panthers, Falcons, and Buccaneers. Tom Brady, after we all thought he was gone, comes back again.
Likely.
Yeah.
Is it official?
I'm pretty sure it's official. Okay. I'm pretty sure he showed up to minicamp.
Okay.
So I'm not back with Gronk. Gronk's going to do a little 2-year TV stint again before he decides to go make commercials for his dad's fitness center.
Before he comes back yet again.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this division, honestly, this year I expect it to be a lot closer than last year or years prior, where we've been recently seeing the Buccaneers just clean house for the last 2 to 3 years. The Falcons got better, in my opinion, at least.
They got Carson Wentz, correct?
No, the football team has Carson Wentz.
Okay.
Matt Ryan left. He left to the Colts.
He did, yes. Who did they get? They got a quarterback, right? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember who they have right now either. But I mean, I expect I just expect it to be a much more competitive division, especially with the recent trade for the Panthers. I don't actually know how many guys the Bucs brought back this year because I know they re-signed a lot of free agents last year.
I think mostly everybody came back.
Okay, so I mean,
they lost a few, but
yeah, you can't hold on to everybody, but if that's the case, I do see the Bucs finishing first again. They're gonna have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin back. They're gonna be, I'm assuming, most likely healthy. And
not sure if Godwin's back.
Well, I mean, he's going to be out longer because he has the ACL injury he's dealing with. But
yeah.
But I think he's going to come back eventually at some point during the season. So So my rankings are the Bucs, the Panthers, the Saints, and then the Falcons.
I agree. I'm spot on with you there. Like I said, prior today, if Carolina had not made that trade, I think it would have been Bucs, Saints, Panthers, Falcons, but Panthers definitely jumped the Saints for me at this point.
Yeah. So anything else you got to say about that one or no?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good.
So moving on next, we got the NFC East, which is the Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, and football team. Or Commanders now. Jesus.
Commanders, yes.
I'm about to start saying freaking old name. So this division still sucks. Never will be good, I don't think, in my lifetime. Hasn't been good since 2009, I think.
What are you talking about? They got America's football team.
Oh, shit. It's right. Okay. And a team that still has New York in their name.
Yeah.
So I do still see the Cowboys being good. CeeDee Lamb is just unreal. Michael Gallup is underrated. Dak Prescott, as much as people hate on him, dude is a throwing machine. He's always in the top 5 passing leaders for like the most recent years in my memory. Looked great, in my opinion, coming off the injury he had. And Zeke was actually producing this year for their ground game a little bit. There were games where he was completely stonewalled, but he was still being productive. I don't really know if he improved his drop issue a little bit. I think he did a little bit, maybe, but not a whole lot. So I do see them finishing first. I think the Cowboys are the team to beat in that division still. However, the Eagles were pleasantly surprising last season with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he still has to get the throwing down, but we've known he's been a mobile quarterback since college, so that was no surprise to anybody. And I think they put up a really good fight with a not very good team. And I think that if they're able to get the passing game going, then they're going to be able to return to the playoffs. So personally, for me, I see the Cowboys finishing first for sure. I'm going to put Washington in second.
Wow.
I'm going to put the Eagles in third, and I'm going to put the Giants in last. The only reason I put the Commanders above the Eagles is simply because of Carson Wentz. I still think he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. But that being said, if Carson Wentz doesn't stop making those irrational throws to where he doesn't just think to either throw it away or, okay, I got to hold on to this. If he just throws it through the middle of the field and he's like, fuck it, who's out there? Nobody, because they don't really have that.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, the only person. So if he doesn't stop those errant decisions from happening, then the Eagles are for sure going to pass them because they're going to lose games because they're going to be throwing too many picks. But for right now, at the start of the season, I see the Commanders finishing above the Eagles.
Okay, that's interesting because you and I are very different on the NFC West. I see the Cowboys finishing first. I see the Eagles finishing second. I think you might be forgetting about a small trade that the Eagles made with the Titans to strengthen up their wide receiver core.
That's true.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you forgot about a big name there, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so I think adding to the wide receiver room in the Eagles is instantly making Jalen Hurts better. I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I think he's like a little bit worse version of Lamar Jackson, but I think that he's a very good quarterback and he's got a lot of growing to do yet. And I'm not even going to put the Commanders at 3. I'm dropping them all the way down, and I'm putting the New Jersey Giants ahead of them because I do think Daboll is going to do a good job in New York. It might be a little biased being a Bills fan, but I do think that he is going to take a little bit more responsibility as head coach over the offensive schemes that they run. Joe Shane, who's the GM now, who was the assistant GM in Buffalo, he's already made some good moves. They had a very good draft. And I think that people are kind of sleeping on Mitch Trubisky because him and Daniel Jones are going to duke it out in training camp for that starting role. And I honestly would not be surprised to see Daniel Jones sitting on the bench to start the year because I really do, like, everybody who knows me kind of knows that I really do love wow, why am I blanking on his name now? Mitch Trubisky. His stats are there. He's never been on a really great team in his career, right? He didn't get a fair shake with Chicago, in my opinion.
No.
He just spent the year sitting behind Josh Allen, learning from him. And he's still young. That's the thing. It's not like he's an old backup. He's young. I'm still a Mitch Trubisky fan. If he isn't able to become a starting quarterback in the league in the next couple of years, I think the ship will definitely have been sailed on him. But for right now, I think that Washington is setting themselves up nicely. Their wide receiver room still hurts. Saquon's got to stay healthy this year. Got to stay healthy. But if he can, I definitely see them ahead of the Commanders. I am not a Carson Wentz fan at all. The Commanders, in my mind, are just – they're moving backwards. Like, you didn't add a good quarterback. You didn't add any receivers. Your running game hasn't been good for a while. You don't have tight ends. Your defense is getting old very quickly. I just think that they are missing a lot of key players and key spots. So I have them in last.
All righty. So we're just going to have to quickly round out the NFC West here just because the stupid Zoom time limit shit is coming to an end soon. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds till closing time. So I'll just speed run. I mean, I don't have much to say on this division anyways. This is probably one of the ones I pay the least attention to because it's the furthest away from my team and it's in a different conference. So rounding off the NFC West, I do see the Rams finishing first again. They didn't really get worse. They replaced everybody that left with somebody that came in that was equally as good in my opinion. So
except for Von Miller.
Yeah. Well, they got Bobby Wagner. So I mean,
yeah.
So I still see the Rams finishing first. I've got the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are going to finish in second again. It's all going to depend on how well they do in the first half of the season because they're going to be missing DeAndre Hopkins for that half of that time. So if they perform well there and they don't cool off like they always do in the second half of the season, then they'll be fine. I've got the 49ers coming in at third again. I think they're dangerous. The 49ers could push for second, but I just don't see it happening right now. And then the Seahawks are nothing without Russell Wilson. So they're going to finish last. All right, Matt, you got a minute 50.
All right. So really quickly, same thing as Zach. Rams, I have at 1. Like Zach said, not much changed. I don't think they're running it back or anything like that. That's not happening. You know, people say that after every Super Bowl win. Oh, they're running it back. No, they're not. They're going to be very good. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're probably not going to make it as far. Matt Stafford, great quarterback. Zach, you know it. I said it before the season last year. I said, watch, the Rams are going to be really good with Matt Stafford. I love Matt Stafford his whole career. Detroit never gave him a fair shake. He's a great quarterback. I proved it. A lot of people did. Arizona Cardinals. I have them at third right now. Reason being, as you mentioned, no D-Hop. That hurts. And very, very, very possible Kyler Murray. That really hurts. But yeah, Cardinals I have going to 3. San Francisco, I think, is a much better team. Trey Lance, great quarterback. I think Jimmy G sticks around. Good backup. I have them taking third. And as Zach mentioned, Seahawks are horrendous without Russell Wilson. And DK Metcalf is going to get traded. That's my prediction. And Seahawks are going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. I'm calling it.
Yeah, I can see that. That's definitely possible. All right, so I might get cut off in this outro. These episodes should be up in the next couple days. Go and check out our socials at KotQC Podcast. Go and check out the YouTube channel. We are on Spotify now, so just look up Kings of the Queen City Podcast. You can find us. That's my speedrun intro. Matt and I are going to go play Madden. Peace out.